They go, yeah.
They'll switch to Netflix. There's too many entertainment options. So I was sitting there like the first time it happened, what can I do? And I looked over at my backpacks of the gear that runs on Speedify. You paid for a year of it. You can use it on any computer or device. So I just pulled out my one of several hotspots I have, hooked it up, cranked up Speedify, and it has never been a problem since.
We used the Speedify software at a command line level, so it's not running a whole UI which is starting to drain resources. It's really very, very base level. And the really clever people at the BBC got it all working, and we're now presenting whole programs every single day of the year have been presented using this technology. All our weather reports from our weather presenter are done on them.
If I look back at my original lives, they are awful. They're terrible. But we all start somewhere and we all get better. And every time you go live and every time you get on camera, you're going to get a little bit more comfortable.
You saw part
Really?
of it? Cool.
Nice. All right, we are famous. You want to say hi to everybody? Now you're on the video. So wave. That's the camera right there. Nice. All right. We are going back to look at this guy's house. It has a lot of white lights.
There he is. Hey, Christian.
Fine.
That's heavy light on the deck so you can see when you tell it's live.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so these lights
do have RGB mixing, so if you want to do each color, you can mix them independently. Within the app, there are a couple features, and I'll just go show you this. So
see power. There we go.
Woo! Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Dallas is showing you how to get really dirty in the mud. Doesn't that look?
All of us have these amazing cameras. Apple, Samsung, Google, they put all of this R&D into making sure everyone is able to shoot really great video straight from their phones.
Also, I would say streaming kept me from going completely insane when I was in that hotel room for 2 weeks when I first got to Australia.
So raising awareness is really going to help break that stigma. We definitely have a stigma in our society where it's, not okay for folks to be open about their medical conditions. It's kind of seen as shameful.
We build custom PCs for a lot of content creators, gamers, you name it, businesses, colleges, esports, and we broadcast a lot of our builds here on our Twitch channel.
We treat people that are experiencing anxiety, depression, eating disorders, addiction, PTSD, and trauma.
Is just building budget aesthetic gaming PCs. And I have my studio here now, so we've graduated away from the basement of my house and whatnot.
Take a bunch of inputs from your computer, cameras, display captures, and mix them together into a video feed that you can stream out to the internet.
And then I do a lot of thought leadership talking and trying to educate the industry on the value of techifying, as I call it, their events, and been doing that for a long time.
I think it's been really quite comforting to a lot of people, and I think that's one of the things, when you manage stress and anxiety and all that, to make new friends, to be uplifting, to be supportive.
Welcome to Speedify Live. I'm your host, Alex Giesis. I'm hoping I'm really live. Getting strange messages here. But this is the live stream about live streaming. And we're going to take any questions you post below as we talk to all sorts of people about, how they live stream, what makes them successful. Other episodes, we bring in people from streaming companies and, ask them about the software they make. We've had people from, OBS and StreamYards and all kinds of good places like that. So give us a follow, tell us who you're watching, and we will try to get them on the show if there's anyone else you want to talk to. But today's special guest, and she is a special guest, is Judie Russell. Video coach and the founder of VidAcademy. So VidAcademy is a service and a website where they aim to make video simple. So she helps companies do a better job of streaming, of producing videos, of figuring out whether the videos are working for their business. She's also been involved in all sorts of other things. She was part of the team that made the movie The Young Offenders. And, she speaks at conferences and things. So before I bring her on, why don't we show a quick video to show off some of her work for those of you who aren't already fans. All right.
I suppose I'd never really considered how to make the full package, and how to sell a message. It's what was really nice about the VidAcademy was it gave me great clarity on my voice and the voice of the brand and what our message was and what was the best way of clearly communicating that.
You can make something look really kind of YouTubey and professional, versus just normal kind of white walls and stuff. So being able to, put one of these lights in different corners or different places in your scene, it can really change things up and make things look cooler. People are always asking me, what is my webcam? And they're usually quite surprised to hear that I am actually not using a webcam. As you'll see here, I am using an iPhone, and the iPhone is on a tripod behind the computer.
The way I always view it is what you emanate from yourself is a frequency, and when other people, when you match that frequency, you're drawn together quite a bit.
Then I've spent the majority of my career working in television and video production, and now through the VidAcademy I get to teach organisations and individuals how to make videos themselves.
There she is. Hey, Judie.
Hello. Thank you so much for that video. You're very
Welcome.
good to do that behind the scenes.
So it's nice to have you here on Speedify Live. How you been?
Good. Yeah, life is good. The sun was out today in Ireland, and it's June now, so the weather should be getting better, but it's not. So I got a moment of sunshine today, so it was good.
So weather not so hot this year? Or...
Oh no, it's so windy all the time and stuff, and we usually we'd have a heat wave by now where everyone would be out and living their best lives and stuff, and that hasn't come yet. But maybe it's just going to be later, and then it's going to go on later. We'll see.
All right. So I think it's about 90 out there. I'm here in Philadelphia, and it's a bit of a scorcher. But back to video. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Judie. I'm from Cork in the south of Ireland, and I teach businesses how to make better videos. And like you said earlier, I think you did a great introduction. Thank you. I might take your video and just use that to introduce myself at the start of my work.
You can have it.
So yeah, since the pandemic, I suppose, we were locked down quite heavily in Ireland. So I moved everything online. I used to go into businesses and do workshops with them. But now what I do is online workshops, which I didn't think was going to work in the beginning. And now I'm if someone wants me to come in and do training inside with them, I'm like, can we just do it on Zoom? I've got the setup now kind of pretty mastered. The timings are right and stuff. But yeah, it's working. It's really, really good.
All right. So why don't you give us what is the VidAcademy?
Yeah, so what I do is I kind of teach video production. So I suppose, it's planning, filming, and editing. So filming with your phone.
planning, I have an 8-step process. It's like a workbook that like people go through. And, you know, the first part of it is asking yourself, why are you making the video? Who is it for? Where is it going? When are you uploading? How will you measure success? And then I go into storyboarding, script writing, legal implications, like who you need release forms for and all that kind of stuff. And then they feel comfortable and confident that they're covering everything. You know, even things like, do you want to embed subtitles into your video? Trying to decide that before you even start making the video is going to, you know, make you more conscious of how much time it's going to take and how long you want it to be and things like that. So what I try to do with my clients then, if I'm making a video for them, is they own the script. It's their plan. They're the director producer, even though that might not be anywhere near their job. They could be an accountant, for example. But I like them to be the owner of the script, because I found for years I was going into organizations and they were kind of giving me the lowdown about what they do. And then they were like, okay, go away now and write up a script for us, you know? And I'd be away and then I'd have 20 tabs open trying to understand what process engineering meant and what the keywords and try to build this all in. And, you know, one day I had a realization. I was like, why am I doing this? You know, if instead I could help people do it themselves, wouldn't that be so much more efficient and better for everyone? So the planning part, I think, is really important. Then I show people how to film with their phone and things like introducing them to equipment that they need, the settings on the phone, how to get cutaways, like, you know, where to get stock footage, stock music from, and then into editing then, where I show them how to use Adobe Premiere Rush. So as a professional editor, I would have used Adobe Premiere Pro. I always found it was just too complicated to try and show people how to use it. So then when Adobe released Adobe Premiere Rush, I was like, oh my God, this is actually perfect. It's like...
I've actually never used Rush.
Haven't you? Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it, but yeah, no, I've used Premiere, right? The Pro version.
For sure. Yeah.
So why don't we just go down this path for a second? Let's talk about software that you use and why Adobe Premiere Rush?
Well, I used to actually be solely mobile. So I used to teach people how to edit using KineMaster, which is just a mobile app. Really, really cool app now as well, where you can add up to 4 or 5 layers of video and audio, and it was just really, really good. But when Rush came out, I was like, okay, this means now that I can teach people on the desktop. And then there's also a replica mobile app. So once people get confident with the desktop, then they can use their phones to create short edits if they want to. But another reason...
Marby here is saying that she thinks you can edit videos on your phone with Rush. You can, right?
Totally. But, I think that sometimes like people would be like, it was just a little bit too much information to take in the small screen.
Yeah.
So then once they kind of get comfortable with all the features and functions, then they're much happier then to move on to phone. But with Rush, right, what you could do is say you're away and you're after filming something and then you're on a train for 3 hours coming back or something like that. So what you could do is you could set up your edit on your phone and do a rough cut, synchronize everything to the cloud, get back to your computer and finish the edit on your computer. Everything will be there for you. And if you wanted to then take it a step further, you could actually export the Rush project as a Premiere Pro file and open it up in Premiere Pro and then do extra stuff in there as well.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never edited videos on a phone. I mean, video editing is the ultimate. I want a huge screen. I want a screen where I can have 5 video clips side by side and pick which one I want to drop in. That really works for you, editing?
Oh my God, does it? Do you know what I like? There's nothing I hate more than
I'm a dinosaur.
No, you're not at all. You're not.
I'm a dinosaur.
I just can't stand an edit hanging over me. Like a week later, having all the footage still, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just need this now to be gone. And say it's an event or something, and I'm like, the event happened a week ago. Nobody cares anymore about the event. So what I have gotten into the habit of doing is making something and editing it on the spot and uploading it before the event is over, while it's still trending, hopefully, on Twitter and stuff. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes it has mistakes, and I can't keyframe in Rush, so I have to rely on kind of audio fade outs and dissolves to, or even it does kind of an auto ramping of the music, so it will turn down while someone is talking and turn it up. But yourself, like, that's not going to be perfect. Like, if you were able to keyframe, you could definitely make it better. But like, most videos have just a short enough shelf life that sometimes you kind of end up focusing too much on it being perfect when it's actually the speed of upload is what's going to make the difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of how we got into live streaming here, right, is that when we make a video, we obsess in the editing for so long that, yeah, sometimes it became irrelevant. We 80 hours into editing this 2-minute video, and then the developers change the design of the screen anyway, and we have to start over. And like, lots of videos never shipped because we work on them till they were relevant. And so the live streaming, obviously we put a lot of work on this Chrome and the frame and, my crazy setup so I can, show all these different views and things. Ooh, look at that. Speedify. But in the end, we go live and whatever it is, it's done. The video's out there. We can't stop it if we want to. And we found that psychologically that's good for us. But back to you. So what inspired you to start this whole thing? How did you get into the video world?
Into video world initially, well, I think I was born in 1985 and my parents got a camcorder in like around the same time that I was born. So I've got this whole collection of hours of video of me growing up. And I think most people my age wouldn't have had that. So I've always had an affiliation with video, but I just didn't think that it was a viable career option for someone in the south of Ireland at that time. Like, I was like, sure, what am I going to do? Like, move to LA and just try and get a job without a visa? Like, okay, I better do something normal. So I did a business master's and enjoyed studying it, but I was like, I can't see myself working in this at all. At that time anyway, I was 21, 22. So I went off traveling and I was in New Zealand for 2 years, Australia for a year, India for a while, then America, and traveled down from LA to Costa Rica on a bus. And I got to Costa Rica and I had about 400 quid and like, I had no phone. I didn't even have a laptop. I'd say I had like a bag, like, a backpack that I could carry on my back, like, and that was all I had. And so I was like, I was kind of preparing to go home. I was like, I've run out of money now and I've run out of, ambition to keep this going any longer. And I can't speak the Spanish language either. So what am I really doing here? I was on my own. And then this job came up on Craigslist and it was like, news spokeswoman required. And I was like, this sounds really sketchy, but also, if it's a real job, it is exactly what I want to do without ever really admitting it. I'd never say that out loud because it sounds, I want to be a presenter, like, so does everyone, but I anyway, I went for the interview. It was a real company. And like this company now, it was affiliate marketing for sports betting. So they were a Texan company that moved to Costa Rica, and it was a kind of, a forum and videos for sports betting. But it was in their kind of offices, it was a lot of kind of a floor of people working in tech and building the code and programmers and stuff. But in the back, there was this room with a large green screen, 3 cameras, a TriCaster, the thing that like 20 grand to go live on YouTube with multi-cameras years ago, like this whole huge setup that I was like, oh my God, oh God, what do you read from? A teleprompter. Like, it blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe that this is in this company. Like, and I started thinking, then this must be in every company. Maybe it's just I've never seen it before. And I've now become an advocate of people trying to, larger companies especially, to invest in some kind of studio within. It doesn't matter what business they're in. Like, they need somewhere to broadcast their messages from. And that was like 13, 14 years ago that I was in there. It's just mad now to even think about it.
All right. So any advice for people getting started? People who are following along and they want to do the video production too?
Go to Costa Rica and go on Craigslist. Do you know what? Like, I would say, like, you kind of have to be bold, and you kind of not be bold, but like, you kind of, just because you don't feel like you're confident enough to do it yet, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it. Do you know, that kind of way? And everyone has to start somewhere. So right now you can start yourself. Like back then YouTube was there and I had a few things uploaded on YouTube. But right now you can have a TV network from your house, you know, like you can have the equivalent of that. So I really think just starting, and if you're starting and you're not ready for other people to see it yet, I think this is the best piece of advice, and I got it from someone else. Just hold up your phone or put it beside you when you're washing the dishes and just start talking to it and just start saying, and today I did this and today I did that, because it's a different type of relationship that you have when you're speaking to the phone than you're speaking to other people. And you kind of have to develop a relationship with it. Like you kind of have to be like, okay, how do we talk to each other? Even though that doesn't talk to me. How do I talk to it? You know, and just overcome that fear of what other people will think of you, or what you'll even think of yourself when you watch back, because that can be a little bit strange as well sometimes.
Yeah, it really can be.
Yeah.
So what part of this job is your favorite of all the video production stuff you do?
I think it's when someone sends me their video after doing the course, and then they send me their 90-second video and I'm watching it and I'm like, whoa, this is really good. Like it includes things that I never even covered in the course. It includes things that I don't even know how they did it sometimes. And I'm like emailing them going, how did you do that part there? So I think my course gets better because I get feedback so often from all the people doing it who already have different apps or, you know, tricks and stuff like that they use. So then I just steal what they've told me and then include it in the course and try and expand the knowledge then that I can share. But it's amazing. And then when they put their videos up online and I can see them getting loads of likes and, you know, comments about, oh my God, I've never seen you on camera before. You look so great. And, you know, you could tell that they're really happy about it too. And it works out well.
That's great. You have a lot of fans in the audience. So here Joseph is saying, with more businesses using video as a vehicle to promote themselves, Judie offers very practical advice in a professional manner.
I did pay Joe before we started. Thank you, Joe.
And this one was good too. Eugene said, I've seen Judie edit video from a concert on the way back home after the gig on her phone. Quality.
Eugene is my boyfriend, and he is next door. And we were literally...
All right.
But isn't it mad that like he can be next door watching me talking to you live? Like we were only talking about it earlier, how much we take this for granted now, when it is absolutely insane that you can even record something and play it in the present when it's from the past, but it looks as real as it was when it happened in the past. Like I think video is just remarkable.
Yeah, and there's so much to it, right? I mean, it's both how great the cameras are in the phones and how fast the internet has gotten, and you know, these tools like Restream and all the streaming software to, you know, let us talk in a browser and hook up that way. It's a lot of technology, and it really works now.
And you know, do you ever find, like, I find that, you know, I've been through the ringer with things like Premiere Pro when it first, you know, I was using version 4 or whatever it was, and there was loads of bugs and it used to crash all the time, and, you know, like, and now I'm like, I'm watching kind of, I'm watching people nowadays and they're like, oh, my programs never crash. And I'm like, oh, you weren't there when, and even dial-up, like, you know, like people nowadays wouldn't even understand how frustrating dial-up was. Like it was just, it's mad how easy it is today.
Yeah, it really is. All right, I see you both again. Met you both during the Streamers Pro Summit. All right, cool. Yeah, audience is getting into this. So if you guys have questions for Judie, this is your chance. We've got her cornered. There's nowhere for her to run to. So, you know, if you're looking for any advice on how to improve your videos or anything like that, you know, just post them and we'll put them up and make her answer. So repurposing content. This is another topic that I've not been doing a good job on. Right. So I interview all these interesting people, and I end out with, an hour of each person saying interesting things, and pull out one or two little clips. And I'm constantly thinking I should turn it into a book or maybe a blog, and then if the blog's successful, turn it into a book. But I never get very far with it. I don't know. So I'm personally looking for advice on repurposing content, right?
It was actually, so Ryan just mentioned live streaming pros there, and it was during that I got inspired by one of the speakers who was like, she goes live for an hour, and I think she said she turns it into 99 different pieces of content afterwards, and I was like, mind blown. So I worked on a recent, or like a few months ago, I was like, okay, went live with someone for an hour, and then I was like, let's see how many I can do, and I got 25 repurposed contents out of it. So what I did was at the start, like I actually created a checklist for myself. So I was like, full video, 1 hour, on YouTube. And I was like, okay, that's one. And then I was like, okay, let's see. So I brought it into Premiere Pro. And then I was like, LinkedIn, 5 1-minute clips. So because it was a LinkedIn audience, I was looking for some stuff that was professional, business related kind of thing. So, and I was also transcribing it as well in the background. So I was also getting the entire script from it. So then I was reading the script to get business kind of quotes that I could put on LinkedIn. Then I was also doing kind of TikTok. So I was actually blowing it up to like scaling up and making it portrait, or else I was kind of putting a background behind it, which might have been a colored background. So it didn't look like just like a landscape within a portrait kind of thing. So I was getting 5 of them. So I think I got, 5 for LinkedIn, 5 for TikTok. I wasn't putting the same on TikTok as I was putting on Instagram. I was actually choosing different ones. Then I had Facebook, Twitter, I had a blog post, and the blog post was created from the transcript. So I just went through, I copy pasted that and was like, okay, let's shorten it and just kind of, use it as a way to kind of create the blog post.
And then, what do you use to make the transcript?
I was using YouTube. So YouTube's auto transcription, I think, is wonderful. Now, Premiere Pro have started auto transcribing for me as well, which is, I just can't believe it. Like, I wish this, like, I just can't believe how long it took for Premiere Pro to apply an auto transcription tool. Have you used it? It is so good.
I've been using, what's it called? Descript?
Right, yeah.
Right. Descript is amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
I mean, it gets the grammar right.
Oh, wow.
It puts in the commas and the periods, and it capitalizes people's names. It's kind of science fiction, honestly. And it'll ask you, play a few clips of someone and say, what's this person's name? And you say it, and then it, puts their name in front of everything they said. It's amazing. I'm actually really happy with that product.
Amazing. But with the shorter clips, I found that they get so much more views and traction than the whole thing. And then I suppose the aim of it is to try and get people then to actually watch the longer version. So you're just making sure to put in the description or link in bio, and maybe your link tree has a thing to your YouTube playlist with your latest live that comes up first or something like that. So then I think you have to also remove any friction for people, because you don't want to ask your audience to have to press too many buttons or to navigate their way around to find something. So you want to hook them in with the short piece or the blog, and then get them to hopefully watch when they've time, because yourself, like, you won't tune into long form content unless it suits you. Like, you're not going to do it when your friends are over, or, like when you're trying to work or something like that. You're going to do it when you're like cleaning up the house or when you're driving somewhere. So you'll have a specific time in your mind that you'll be like, that's when I want to watch this or watch back. So, you're trying to make it easy for them to re-find it if they do want to.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. You do a lot of talking about checklists and process. I mean, so you're a big fan of written processes, aren't you?
I am. And I actually left video. I had my own TV show for a year, and it was impossible. I had a deadline of an episode a week, a 24-minute episode that broadcast on television about my local kind of community. So I'd go around and I'd do 4 different stories, one about sport, business, music, and like kind of news or kind of something. And anyway, it was impossible. Like, I had to present. I had someone filming for me 2 days a week. I had to edit the whole thing. And like I'd be turning up at events that I didn't even know what it was, like horse racing. I wouldn't even have a clue what's going on. I'd have to try and find someone who was like an organizer, stick a mic in front of their face, ask them questions, and then bring home all this. Like I'd probably have 30-to-1 footage. Like I'd have shot 30 times, 30 minutes for every 1 minute that ended up in the episode. So I was editing all the time. I was working about 6.5 days a week, and I was dead from it. So I quit, and I was like, I'm getting out of video. I'm done with video. It's too laborious. It's too time consuming. I'm going to go.
How'd that work out?
Yeah. So I got a job as a project manager. And you know what I learned is I was like, okay, this whole project management thing is actually really good for video, because a lot of times, you know, what they say, like creative people kind of get into video who wouldn't really be that interested in processes and stuff like that. So I was like, if I can find a way to merge the processes with the creativity to just make it more efficient so that I'm not up all night editing, so that I'm actually shooting to edit and planning out exactly what I'm going to film and edit. So I'm not making any decisions in the edit. I'm literally moving blocks around the place and it's all pre-decided in the planning phase. Then wouldn't life be easier? And you know, that hypothesis turned out to be true. And I'm like, okay, my life is way easier. I'm not up all night editing anymore. I do have more time, and it's much nicer.
Yeah. In the 90s, I had a company, and I hired a creative director, the late great Michael Hedgepath, from one of the big, you know, New York advertising agencies. And, you know, he just seemed like a genius. Every meeting, he had brilliant things to say. And when I was asking him about, you know, how he got so creative, he went in the drawer and he had this binder. And, yeah, he had a page on questions to ask the first time you meet a customer. You know, questions to ask and things to point out, you know, in your second meeting with the customer, when you present a prototype to them, right? It was all written out. And so he came off as a genius. I mean, he was a smart guy, but he came off as a genius. But you looked, and all the brilliant things he was saying in the meeting, he had them written out in his binder. You know, he thought about what to say in meetings. And wrote it out, and then, man, seemed like a genius. He probably was, but a lot to be said for process, at least if you're actually managing to do the same thing over and over.
And that's it. And you start to realize what works and what doesn't work, and what's a waste of time and what's actually really beneficial. So at the start, you might have to spoof a bit until you figure out, okay, this is actually working and I'm onto something here. And then it goes well.
Yeah. I think that, you know, yeah, it's important. Once you reach that, you realize that you've come up with a service people need. That's when you get to start doing the same thing over and over and really making money, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So how do we know if this is working? Like, you know, analytics and how do I know if the video I'm doing for my business is actually helping?
And you know what? I think that's why in the first step of like my planning workbook, I'm like, how will you measure success? And I ask people to choose their own measure of success. So if they're, you know, I think there's 3 types of videos for business. There's awareness videos, which are reach metrics are a good indicator of that. There's understanding videos, or videos that try to increase understanding. And I think average view duration is a good metric for that. And then there is inspiring people to take action. And then you want to see conversions or some kind of maybe people actually getting in touch with you. But I'm like, you know, if that's not your metric, don't worry. If your metric, if you want to measure success by getting a like on your video from someone who's kind of considered like a leader in your field on LinkedIn, if that's your success measure, let that be your success measure. So it's down to you really to decide what your success measure is going to be. So then you're not kind of trying to get someone else's measure of success for your video. I think it's really personal to you or your company and the video and the time that you're putting into it as well. Because like you said earlier, you know, there's those 4-month edits that are still sitting there, and then you put it out and you're like, 10 views. Woo! It happens to all of us.
Yeah. Dungeons and Druids says, I'd rather use my phone for video editing than Windows, to be honest.
Wow. Well, it's probably less buggy.
Maybe
It's
I'm just
amazing.
old. I need the big screen if I'm editing video, right?
I know.
And maybe I don't. Maybe I'm wrong.
I challenge you, right, Alex, this week to make a quick edit, just like you presenting a minute to camera, and then go off and get cutaways that match, and then bring that into Rush, and just see. And do you know what I say to people? It's great for editing when you're in bed, and you can just lie back and you can just kind of like, and you're like, cool, I just created an edit and I'm uploading it, and now I can go to sleep. And it's a bad
I am
habit.
trying to not work in bed anymore. It's a thing I'm working on. So Dungeons and Druids has a question. What does Judie think of GIMP if Adobe stuff isn't available? So GIMP is the free photo editing software. Are you familiar with it?
No, I'm not actually. And maybe if I did look it up, I would know it. But what I found is that people use DaVinci Resolve a lot if they don't want to pay for the video. But I've tried DaVinci Resolve and I was just like, jeepers, this is more complicated than Premiere Pro. I don't know what's going on in this. Like iMovie is good, I think. It's again, though, it's just, I think when you're taught from a traditional editing point of view, like Final Cut, Avid, or Premiere Pro, iMovie just doesn't seem to make sense. It's like nothing's where it should be or in the right place. I'm not certain what GIMP is, but
it's an open source Adobe Photoshop. I use it sometimes. If I'm on Windows and I need to edit a photo, turn a PNG into a JPEG or resize something or just clip out part of an image, I use GIMP. But I'm doing simple stuff like that, right? I'm trying to clip out this part of this picture or what.
When it comes to photos, I'm only using Canva now. I used to use Photoshop a lot, and I used to spend hours on YouTube tutorials on Photoshop, and I was driving myself mad. Since I got Canva Pro, especially, I have not opened Photoshop once. I haven't found a need to open Photoshop once. Maybe if I am trying to create an overlay for a video, say I need to crop something out, or I need to like create a vignette that matches my background or something like that, I can't do that in Canva, so I might move into Photoshop for that. But Canva, I put a tweet out the other day saying sometimes words cannot express how much I love Canva. I was in it and I was like, everything just works and it does what it's supposed to, and that is just for me worth every €10 a month or whatever the pro figure is, because it's just brilliant. I get so much joy out of using it.
Time to get a partnership. Yeah, sounds like you could have a sponsor here.
This video is brought to you by Canva.
Exactly. So you have your own channel, right? Is that right? Where you have guests and things yourself, right?
I do, and the live thing was interesting because I was like, I'm going to start out, because you see, I'm always conscious that I'm teaching people everything that I do. So, that's why I try not to buy expensive gear, or I try not to, get too deep into kind of elaborate programs and stuff like that. I try to keep everything simple. So my first live, I went on Zoom and just went live through YouTube just to see what it was like. It was actually quite enjoyable. The next time then I used... I think I used Restream for my third one, and for my second one I used what's the name of it? I actually really enjoyed it. It's a web-based browser kind of one, and it begins with an S.
StreamYard.
Yes, I used StreamYard, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was great.
I really like StreamYard.
Yeah.
An awful lot of these we use StreamYard. Today we're using Restream Studio, which is actually pretty similar. But yeah, StreamYard is great.
It's again one of those joyful softwares that you're like, this is fun, this is nice.
Yeah, it really makes it fun, right? So Dungeons and Druids ask, can we talk about Microsoft Paint? And the answer is no, we can't. All right. Moving on. If anyone has any good questions. So microphones, so audio.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you talked about you just use a phone for video, and I think that's fine, but it's probably not good enough for audio. Or am I wrong?
No. And no, it's 100% not. And I'm like, if you're making a video and you don't have a microphone, make a voiceover video. And you know, you're fine to make a voiceover video if you want. You're fine to use your phone to record voiceover if you hold up your phone like you're making a phone call and record it into voice memo app or whatever it is on Android. And you know, that's what I encourage people to do. Bring that into the edit, into the timeline, and then get your shots to match what it's saying. Perfect. Like TikTok and Reels kind of mastered this because this is probably as far away as you can have your phone without the audio being really, really bad. But then you're getting this shot that's quite close up, like you're quite in the face of the audience. So I always like my shots to be kind of like this now, how I'd be, you know. So in order to get that, I'm going to be too far away from the camera. So then I do need a mic. So my mic of choice, because when I was working in broadcast, I used Rode microphones. So I've stuck with Rode because I kind of do that. I'm like, if a brand is working for me or a software is working for me, I'm like, I'm not going to try
the Go
other
mic
things.
too? Or?
No, it's actually the Rode Smart Lav.
Ah,
so it's this guy, and it's like €50. So it's cheap, you know, and it's just got, you know, little thing and then the little clip, and it's very nice. Now, the only thing is so the only thing is that the cable is quite short. So then you have to go and buy an extension cable, which is an extra €15. So yeah, it's too short to really benefit from. And then if you're an iPhone user, you also have to get the iPhone adapter. So what it does then, it goes in there and then plugs into the extension, and then you've got loads of room. What I would suggest as well is just disguise the cable. I don't mind if like this is being seen, if this is here, I'm fine with that. But I would put the cable under my top and then try and make it as neat as possible. And then you're going to get really, really good sound from anyone and anywhere. So I would never record someone unless I had one of these, but I just carry it around in my bag so that I have it all the time in case something comes up that I'm like, oh, I'll record an interview now.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So we've been using the Rode Go mics.
Oh, I love them too. So this guy.
So little, that guy. Yeah. It's a little wireless one, plugs into the bottom of your phone, and then you get two of them, right? So you and the guest can each have one clipped on.
Exactly. And then the beauty is that they record onto two separate tracks. So I can't find the other one now, but this one will record onto the left track and this one will record onto the right track, so that if person A starts coughing, you can mute person A and just have person B's sound. So you get loads of ability basically with these. But these are 250 quid, and that's sometimes outside of people's budget. But what I do suggest is that when people buy the Rode Smart Lav first, they will never regret it, because if they do want to go up to the wireless mics, they can then plug the Rode Smart Lav into the little transmitter and then put that as a backpack. And then this can just live on them for the day. And it's, you know, I don't really like the look of this in the shot. Like, I think it's just a little bit like a Rode ad, you know? So, yeah, I'd rather just put that down.
Yeah, we actually bought one of the microphone, sticks with the phone. Yeah. Oh, so ours, it says Rode on both sides of the phone.
Black marker. I got a Sharpie.
I mean, putting it on one side would be fine, so I could decide whether or not to show it. They put it on both sides.
And you know what,
so
I got
just Sharpied over it. See how I'm learning stuff. This is great.
Yeah, I know a Sharpie. I got this from Amazon. It's called a mic flag, and you can stick this into the end and then attach your logo with a sticker or something like that. So then if you're out and about, say, doing kind of branded content videos, then there's no way that they can crop out that from it and steal it and redo it, you know.
Nice. All right. So that's a microphone flag, you said?
Yeah.
That's, know what to search for.
Yeah. It took me a while to find. I was like, what is that thing called?
So how often do you actually live stream?
You know what now? I don't know if I have the personality to live stream. Now, I have the personality to live stream interview people. I'm 100% comfortable with that. Love doing it. Just
I know how long it takes to set up and to get the questions and to organize the people. And, you know, like you've got an amazing team working on this and stuff, but like I can see from even my end how much goes into it. So it's finding the time then to be consistent with it, which I'm 100% not consistent at all. But I would like to be more. But I am not the type of person who could literally turn on the camera and be like, hey guys, today I'm just, you know, having a great day. And, you know, I need to have the plan in my head of what I'm going to talk about. I see people just going live and they're just like, just sounds like they're just having the chats. And I'm like, God, that's such a different skill. But I think it's a personality type as well. And I don't think I have that, unfortunately. It'd be really great if I did. It'd save a lot of time.
So it seems like our audience has grown. It seems like we have a couple hundred people watching us now, which wasn't true at the beginning. So maybe reintroduce. So hey, I'm Alex Gieses from Speedify, and this is Speedify Live, where we talk to, you know, interesting people doing stuff with live streaming. And I am talking with Judie Russell of VidAcademy. She is a video coach. She helps people and companies learn how to get really good at producing videos and live streaming and making video work for them. And I've been learning a lot, so hopefully you guys are. We're live, so if you have questions and stuff about, you know, how to do videos better, just post them in the comments and we will see them. Keith Kennedy is asking, why is audio so important?
Thank you. So, you know, they did a study recently that they got a speaker doing a physics talk and they got an audience to listen to it, and they asked the audience how much they thought the research was important, if they liked the speaker, and another couple of things. And then they got another audience to listen to it with the audio quality degraded, and they asked them the same questions. And the results proved that with higher quality audio, people actually thought that the research was more important and they liked the speaker more. So having good quality audio is the most important part of any video. And, you know, that's why on film sets, you know, the audio department is completely separate to the video department. The video team are just completely focused on the visuals and the camera. And, you know, it's not even, the sound doesn't even run into the camera. The sound is recorded on a separate device. There's someone else, there's a team there, they're doing it. And then afterwards, it's synchronized together. But those are two distinct and separate departments because they are both so important on their own. So I think that just needs to be the one thing that we take forward with mobile video, especially if we want it to be taken seriously, is that audio has to be still regarded as its own separate piece, and it can't be, you know, cheaped out on or skimped out on, because it's so huge.
Yeah, a lot of guests have had that message on this show, right? If you only have money to buy one thing to improve your stream, make it a microphone. Like you can get by at even a 720p camera.
Yeah.
If your audio sounds good, but if they can't hear you, people are hanging up. I also got almost the opposite advice, but I guess sort of complimentary from, I was talking to Mark Breyer, the original VP of marketing at Amazon. And he said, you know, if you make a marketing video, watch it with the sound off. Nice. And if you don't get the whole message with the audio completely off, you know, you have to change the video, right? You just assume that people right? So and probably when you have audio, the audio has to be top notch as well. But I thought that was a good piece of, so, you know, you add subtitles, the whole message is there on the screen.
I was just about to say, if subtitles are embedded, is it cheating or is it, okay, yeah.
It's marketing. There's no such thing as cheating. Whole thing is. All right, so Marby has a somewhat different question. Producing TV shows hurts the quality of TV series?
I think that's such a good question. It is because, like, I've been on sets, on TV show sets, and, you know, I've seen how it works. I've seen there might be 60 people working behind the scenes in a day, and it's so huge. It's such a machine. It's insane. And then, you know, like content, people are just kind of watching it in the background, like, you know, you're kind of have your phone and you're kind of like, so it's more and more rare that things are being made that are like completely standout, that like you're like, whoa, this is
this is unusual. This is making me feel a certain way, or this is making me think about things differently. So I think with those ones, you know, like I don't know if we can avoid the mass-produced TV shows. There's such a demand for so much content all the time, but it's when you find those diamonds in the rough that they get shared enough, you know. Like there's so many movies out there that, you know, have never been seen by the people who should be seeing them, yet everyone has seen, you know, 10 Things I Hate About You. Actually, that was really good though. But like, you know, everyone has seen like movies that I love chick flicks, so you know, I can't really think of one that, but other people might think that. But like then there's some standout ones that you're like, you know, and you can tell that like years have gone into it. Like it would take years to plan, script, edit, create something that is something that it, you know, that just carries weight. And I don't think it can be undervalued when those movies do appear, like, and you just have to credit. And I suppose that's why the Oscars are there, to really shine a light on the people who have dedicated their lives or just this enormous amount of time to bringing something that they initially had as an idea to our screens, so that we can kind of, you know, get what they meant by it. Like it's
Although sometimes I think that sort of mass producing, you know, people actually get their methodologies, their checklists down. They start improving, right? I mean, I saw an interview once upon a time with some of the people who had worked on Casablanca, right? It was an old interview. They were saying they didn't think there was anything special about it. They had a contract to produce a bunch of movies, and this was somewhere near the end. They made a movie, they made another movie, they made another movie, they made Casablanca, and, you know, magic happened because I think they were finally getting good at their jobs, right? But I don't know.
Well, do you know, that's interesting though, because, you know, The Young Offenders, when we were making that, like, I didn't even read the script before we started shooting. So I'd turn up on day one and it would be like, you know, scene 53. I'm like, how does this fit into anything? What's my... And like, it was just...
So what exactly did you do on The Young Offenders?
So my official title was behind the scenes producer, because I had to work during the summer as well. And, you know, I was doing kind of corporate videography at the time. So there were some days I couldn't be on set. So I definitely couldn't take a role that required me to be there all the time. So with the behind the scenes producer, I was kind of able to come and go as I pleased. But because the movie was so interesting and such, like, you know, it was I couldn't leave then. I started actually deferring stuff so that I could just be there all the time. But it was just so amazing to see this grow. And like, you know, there was a cult following from, you know, people in the area who would just like see this group of people with cameras and be like, oh, what are you doing, and stuff like that. So we actually almost had an audience built before the movie even was released, because it's such a small area where everyone knows each other, so the word would have got around, so people were excited to see it before it even got somewhere. But with that, like, none of us thought that was going to be on Netflix and, like, you know, like
Nice.
a box office sellout and stuff like that. We thought we might get to go to a film festival and have a bit of a night out, maybe, if we were lucky. Like, so I totally get that whole Casablanca thing, but this wasn't mass produced. This was very much indie, self-funded, like one person, the director and writer, with this idea that he managed to get on a page, break down into different daily kind of what do you get at the start of the day, God, I can't remember that sheet anyway, where it's like, this is what we're filming.
You're the producer.
No, sorry, I haven't been on a set in a while. But like, and then it's just amazing to see how it is dissected into scene, and then how it all comes together. But you still need to have that visionary at the helm who actually knows everything fits in. But from our point of view, like, the sound person doesn't need to know where the script is going. They just need to know that the sound is perfect in every scene. You know, the camera person probably does a bit more. Most people don't really need to know what the subject line of the movie is until they see it at the end. And then you're sitting there at the end and you're like, whoa, oh my God. And then that part mixed with that part. And then, oh my God, wow, they're geniuses. You know?
All right. So I interviewed the actor Dave Koenig a couple of weeks ago. And he was saying that these new streaming shows, they actually film the whole thing before they put it out. So it's much more like working on a movie. He said, you know, TV shows in the past, they were just on such a schedule that even if you messed up your line, they'd be like, well, out of time, on to the next scene. Like, we have to get this episode out at the end of this week.
Yeah.
So they were under such time pressure that he always felt like TV shows until now kind of, putting words in his mouth, sort of cut corners, right? They just had to keep moving.
Yeah.
But now that they filmed the whole series before they put it out, they can,
Go back and
they
reshoot.
make sure that everything actually works together before they put it out.
Wow.
But a lot of those old TV series, right? I mean, they're putting out the first episodes before they started the last episodes, right?
Yeah.
It's a kind of weird thing.
Do you know what I'd love to though touch on as well is that teaching. So while I don't do a lot of live streaming myself, I wish I did more. And actually, live streaming pros did motivate me to get more into it. I love it. I love the live streaming thing. But what I have done is I've gone into 2 separate companies and shown them different ways that they could live stream themselves. So one kind of organization was a networking group, and during the pandemic they couldn't meet up anymore, but they could have smaller events with up to maybe 20 people, I think, but their network was huge. So they were like, what we want to do is we want to stream it, but we want to be able to do it ourselves, and we want a step up than just putting a computer on a table and pointing it at the stage, because they might have a stage with a few speakers and stuff. So I went into them and I did training, and a shout out to Eden from Camo Studio Pros, or Camo Studio, because Camo is just the best software ever. Again, a joy to use, an absolute joy. So I showed them how to use Camo, and what we were able to do is use the wireless goes. So I had to get them to update their running order so that there was a maximum of 2 speakers at any one time. And then one speaker, speakers would have to swap the mics. So there was an audio person who would, when the person came off the stage, she'd take one person's mic, give it to the other person, send them up on stage. And then we used Camo then with 2 phones, and we were actually able to switch between iPhone 1 and iPhone 2. So we put iPhone 1 on a tripod wide, and then while it was wide on iPhone 1, we were able to move iPhone 2 on the tripod with the telephoto lens, the close-up, and then, get it into position and then switch to phone 2. The audio was perfect. The lighting was good because the locations that we picked, we were able to add in like the logo with Camo, so the overlay in the top right and stuff. But like, that was as complicated as that needed to be. And once the audio was perfect, again, we've already discussed this, the visuals didn't really matter, but they were actually really good. And this whole switching thing was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I just found that, hodgepodging things together, but seeing then the end, who cares what you're hodgepodging together if the person watching is seeing something that could have cost $5,000 for a production company to come in, but it looks exactly the same by these ladies. It was a group of ladies doing it themselves, and I just couldn't believe that they stepped up into this as well. They loved their organization so much that they were like, we want this to go live, show us how to do it. And I was like, okay, I'm not even really sure how we're going to do this, but let's just give it a go. And it went out on Zoom, and then everyone was able to watch it and keep up to date during a time where they couldn't actually see each other physically. So it was fab.
That's great. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Camo. I'm not using it today, but a lot of times I'm using Camo with, this iPhone. Which way do I go? As my camera, right? Because I mean, one of the iPhone the pros, the picture is better than what you can get from any reasonably priced webcam, right? I mean, a $300 camera doesn't take as good a picture as a new iPhone. So you just hook it up. Any thoughts on this Apple announcement this week? That now you're going to be able to just take an iPhone and stick it next to a Mac and it'll be the camera?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yes. Yeah, wow. They announced that on Monday. I don't know. Camo has a lot of features. Hopefully they'll be fine.
Well, I was just like, why don't they just put one of their good cameras into the Mac? Like, why is the Mac camera and the iPod, or not the iPod, the iPad, like that should be way better than it is, you know?
So that's the thing is when Camo says you can use your iPhone as the camera, it's this brilliant hack. But when Apple does, that was my reaction as well. Why don't you just put a better camera? I mean, they have this camera. Put it on my Mac.
I know. And you know what?
So-
I was like thinking, I was like, oh my God, does that mean that Camo won't be as relevant? But Camo Studio, and like the fact that like I can like make changes to this video and adjust the color and make it brighter, adjust the saturation, have my overlays on it and stuff like that. So I'm not worried for Camo is what I'm saying. I think that it's still a really, really cool thing.
All right, Courtney has a good question here. How do you manage to continue to create inspiring work when you're feeling burned out from mass producing content? Is it possible to do without slowing down your output?
Amazing. And like, I wish I could do batch recording. I can't. Like, I make videos when I'm in the mood to make videos. That's about as strategic as I am with my content calendar. Like, I know I've got processes for everything, but like, if I wake up and, I feel just wrecked and I'm like, do you know what? I'd actually would rather go outside today and just like see the world or whatever. I will always just go outside and see the world. Like, I didn't do that when I was younger. I was like, no, you have to make the video. You said you were going to make the video. Now I'm just like, meh, you can make another week. I'm not that important. Like, that kind of way. So I wish I could have a more structured schedule, but that's what AI is for. The bots can do the structure and the schedule. We are human. And I think leaning into our humanness means that like we just have to mind ourselves more. And when we feel like making content, and I actually got this from Kat Norton as well. She is Miss Excel. She went viral on TikTok and her courses just like sold millions of courses. I think she made 6 figures in a day selling courses with all of the success from TikTok. Like, she had a normal job prior to that, but she was really good at Excel. But she was saying that she meditates upon her content ideas and she gets into a state of creative flow, and then she just allows her ideas to come to her. And then I think when you can back the ideas, it's a lot easier then to actually make the videos. If you're just making videos because like, you've done some keyword research and people want to see more videos on this topic, but the topic doesn't really interest you, you're always going to push it off. So it has to be something that aligns with you, hopefully aligns with your business as well, and that you're excited to make. And then it becomes a bit of fun,
All right. So how do you stay on top of all this stuff? Right? There's new software, new apps, new phones. What are you reading or watching to keep up to date?
I have unsubscribed from every single email list. Nothing comes into my inbox that isn't directly for me, because I found that was really overwhelming for a while. I was like, there's
I
too
need
much.
to do that.
Like, and that's why I'm kind of thinking, I know email marketing is really important and, I don't do enough of it, but I feel like I'm sick of that stuff. And I'm sick of knowing I'm in a funnel and knowing that I'm, somewhere in someone's like ClickFunnels sequence, or I'm somewhere in their ConvertKit kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, and I just can't do it anymore. So then that's stopping me from trying to do that as well. So I would say, like, I hadn't heard about the Apple announcement. I should totally know that, but I think that things filter into me when they are supposed to come to me. Like, I don't obsess about being on top of things, and I don't get worried if someone mentions something to me and I don't know about it. I'm not embarrassed. I'm like, oh, tell me more about that, and then kind of happens.
All right. Any big plans for the rest of the year or next year?
I am working.
What's coming next from Judie?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Now I love businesses, but I also believe that I want to get more into capturing memories and helping people to kind of capture more of their stories and stuff like that. So potentially it's moving away from business and more to a consumer kind of audience. Even though I love the business part of it, I really do. I just feel like maybe my purpose, if you kind of look into that, is actually to help people tell their stories, and that doesn't have to be attached to business. So I'm working with 2 others. We're actually having a brainstorming day tomorrow. We've been working on it for like 6 months and we have a good idea, and it's just ideas, like, everyone has them. it's trying to bring that into something that's actually a viable business idea is what's really, really difficult. But it's enjoyable to work with them. They both come from kind of different backgrounds and stuff. And, even just, I spend a lot of time working on my own. So now to have 3 of us as, like with different kind of skills to be able to, they'll go off and do something and then I'll go off and do something. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's progress happening without me being the one to press all the buttons. This is great. This way earlier. So yeah, that's
really
fun.
good. Oh, that could be so many things. I'm thinking, that might be an app, that might be a new website. You might be, helping older people tell their stories or making cool little. There's so many things that could be covered by what you just said. Probably lots of them are interesting.
That's
so
it.
neato. All right. So I think we are coming to the end here. We've been talking for a full hour. So thank you, Judie. I hope you had a good time. I certainly learned a bunch of useful things.
Brilliant. I had a great
enjoyed
time.
talking to you.
Thank you, and thank you to Marlene and your whole team behind the scenes who make this so smooth and effortless. It's a credit to you, and lovely to meet you, Alex, and chat.
Thank you. So let's see. So she's at VidAcademy. So I don't know if we've posted the URL here. We should in the comments, so you guys can find her other work. Marlene, wherever you are in the background, if you could post in the comment a useful link so people in the audience can find Judie's work. Obviously, we're Speedify Live. We generally Tuesdays and Thursdays do this. If you like or follow to get notifications. Let's see. On the 14th, we're going to be talking to Stream Dad, who's one of the original Dead by Daylight streamers. On the 16th, we are leaving the studio for the Baltimore Avenue Dollar Stroll. I don't know what that is exactly, honestly. But apparently they're putting a microphone on me and sending me out into the streets of Philadelphia. So that should be different. So I think that is... Oh, there we go. So yeah. We got your YouTube... And yeah. So yeah, you guys can find these in the comments. There's her website.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Hopefully I'll see you all next week.